The year was 1894, when the Qing dynasty was growing old and weak. The world was changing fast, and the sea seemed bigger than ever. Some people said the sea was alive, that it had places no map could show. I did not believe that then. I was only a simple sailor trying to feed my family. My name is Wei Jian. I was 42 years old, with hands as hard as rope and skin burned brown by years under the sun. My ship was older than I was, a wooden junk my father had left me before he died. It was small, cracked in many places, and smelled of salt and old oil. But it was my home. I used the ship to carry people and goods from one province to another along the southern coast of China. It was not grand like the new steamships that came from the west. Mine had a small deck, a narrow cabin, and a weak motor that coughed like an old man whenever I started it. Inside the cabin, I had a single bed nailed to the wall, a rusty bowl for washing, a small lamp, and a corner that I used for both cooking and relieving myself. To others, it looked like a broken boat, but to me, it was everything I owned in the world. At home, my wife Lin Mei waited in our small wooden house by the harbor. She was kind and strong, her hair always tied neatly behind her head. She smiled less these days because of our daughter, Leon. Leon was 12, and she used to run down to the docks every evening when I returned. She would wave and shout, "Papa's home!" and then jump into my arms laughing. But the laughter had gone. Sickness had taken her voice and her strength. The doctor called it consumption, a sickness that ate the lungs slowly. Leon coughed every night, her body shaking so much that Lin Mei had to hold her down. Sometimes she coughed blood. Her skin grew pale and thin. She was like a small bird with broken wings. I worked harder than ever to get money for medicine. I carried fishermen, traders, and travelers. I loaded goods for merchants and sailed through storms that made other sailors turn back. Still, the money was never enough. The doctors asked for silver, and I barely earned copper. At night, when the sea was calm, I would sit on the deck and stare at the moon. I thought about Leon's thin face and her tired smile. I prayed to the sea gods for mercy. "Take me if you want," I whispered, "but let my child live." One night, when the sky was black and the rain fell like arrows, I was sailing near a place I rarely went, the outer harbor of Guangxi. The sea was wild that night. Waves slammed against my ship. I could not see far ahead, only the white foam flashing in the dark. I knew I could not sail home, so I dropped anchor near the shore and ran through the storm, searching for shelter. The rain soaked me through my coat, my boots filled with mud. Finally, I saw a small tavern by the water. Its windows glowed with yellow light. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air smelled of rice wine and smoke. Men shouted and laughed over their drinks. Candle flames danced on the wet wooden walls. I found a seat near the window and ordered a bowl of cheap wine to warm myself. At the next table, 4 men sat together, whispering. Their faces looked hard and secretive. Sailors, maybe, but not the kind I trusted. One had a scar from his ear to his chin. Another wore a red scarf around his neck, still wet from the rain. I tried not to listen, but their voices cut through the noise. "The map says it's beyond the mist belt," one said softly. "Impossible," another replied. "No map shows it." "That's the point," the first one said again. "No map can. It's called Shilong Dao, the Serpent Island." The name made me look up. I had heard many sea tales in my life, about ghost ships, sea dragons, and islands of gold, but something in their tone felt different. They spoke not like drunk men, but like men chasing a dangerous dream. They talked about an old Portuguese warship that sank near that island 300 years ago. A ship filled with stolen gold from all over Asia. They said the island hid the treasure, untouched by time, waiting for anyone brave enough to claim it. I tried to ignore them, but my heart beat faster. Gold, enough to buy medicine, enough to save Leon, enough to never fear hunger again. But I said nothing. I finished my drink and kept quiet, pretending not to care. When the tavern closed, the storm had not stopped. The rain fell harder. The streets were rivers of mud. I pulled my coat tight and started walking back toward the harbor. Then I heard footsteps behind me. When I turned, I saw them. The same 4 men from the tavern. The one with the scar smiled coldly. "You were listening," he said. Before I could speak, they attacked. Fists, knives, boots. The fight was quick and rough, but years at sea had made me strong. I struck the red scarf man into the mud, dodged another's blade, and slammed the leader's arm against a wall. Pain shot through me, but I pushed on. I ran. The rain blinded me, but I could hear them shouting behind. I reached my ship, bleeding from my shoulder, and started the old motor. It roared to life, coughing smoke. The ship began to move. Behind me, the men jumped into their own boat and gave chase. Lightning flashed. Thunder rolled. The sea rose like a beast. I steered into a narrow channel between cliffs, hoping to lose them. Then I saw it, ahead of me, a wall of blue, glowing fog. It looked alive, moving and breathing like a living thing. I turned off the motor and let my ship drift into it. The mist swallowed everything. Sound, light, even fear. The voices of my pursuers faded into nothing. At last, I dropped anchor and collapsed inside the cabin, shivering. Rain hit the roof softly like whispers. My eyes closed. That was the night everything changed. When I opened my eyes, the sea was calm. The storm had passed. The air smelled of wet salt and wood. I climbed out of the cabin and looked around. The fog still hung over the water like a giant ghost. But in the gray light, I could see something ahead. Land. It was a small island, green and quiet, surrounded by tall rocks. I could not find it on any map I knew. There were no houses, no boats, no signs of people. Only the cries of birds and the sound of waves. I lowered a small rowboat and paddled toward the shore. My body ached from the fight and the storm. My clothes were torn. My arm bled, but I was alive. When I stepped onto the sand, it felt strange under my feet. Warm, even though the air was cool. I followed a narrow path into the trees. The forest was thick, full of vines and roots, and the leaves shone with drops of rain. The ground was soft with fallen leaves. After walking for a while, I smelled smoke. I followed it and found a small hut made from broken shipwood and palm leaves. Smoke rose from a little fire pit outside. My heart raced. Someone lived here. Then a voice shouted, "Who's there?" An old man stepped out, holding a bamboo spear. His hair was long and gray, his face wrinkled and tanned by years under the sun. He looked wild, like someone who had lived alone for too long. I raised my hands. "I mean no harm," I said. "I'm a sailor. My ship was caught in a storm." The old man studied me for a long time, then lowered his spear slowly. "You are lucky," he said. "Most who enter that storm never come out." He told me to follow him inside. The hut was small but neat. There were fish hanging from strings, shells used as bowls, and maps drawn on animal skin. Everything was handmade. I could see he had been there for many years. "My name is Old Lau," he said, sitting down by the fire. "I was a sea captain once. My ship broke near this island 30 years ago. I never found a way home." I listened quietly as he spoke. His voice was deep and slow, like waves hitting rocks. He told me he had once searched for the same thing many men whispered about, a place called Shilong Dao, or the Serpent Island. He had heard that it was full of gold and treasure from an old Portuguese warship that sank hundreds of years ago. But when he tried to find it, the storm swallowed his ship. His men died. Only he survived, washed up here. Since then, he had seen strange things, lights in the mist, songs that came from the sea, and once, far away at night, a shining white wall that reached up into the sky. That, he said, pointing to the horizon, was the edge of the world. Beyond that, the sea falls into the sky. That's where the Serpent Island lies. I frowned. You believe it's real? He nodded slowly. I saw it with my own eyes. But it's not a place for men. It is protected by the serpent people, half woman, half snake. Their queen, Bai Ling, is said to be as white as the moon. They guard the treasure that cursed them. The treasure cursed them? I asked. He nodded again. Many years ago, greedy men came with ships of gold. They brought sin and death. The gods punished them. Their gold turned into poison and their flesh turned into scales. Now they live beyond the fog, hidden from the world. I sat in silence, staring into the fire. I didn't know whether to believe him, but I remembered the 4 men who had spoken about the same island, the same gold. Could it be real? Old Lao looked at me with tired eyes. Why did you come into the storm, sailor? I hesitated, then said softly, My daughter is dying. I heard about a ship of gold. I thought maybe it could save her. For a long moment, the old man said nothing. Then he sighed. You are not the first to chase gold for love, but maybe you are the first to chase it for something pure. He stood and went to a wooden box in the corner. From it, he pulled out a half-burned map, drawn in black ink, with red marks and strange signs. He spread it on the ground. This is the path through the fog, he said. I tried once, but I turned back when the sea screamed. If you wish to go, this is the only way. I stared at the map. My hands shook. I could almost see Lian's face in the flames, but before dawn, the sound of engines echoed across the sea. I froze. Old Lao looked up sharply. Someone's coming, he said. Moments later, gunfire broke the silence. Bullets tore through the hut's walls. I ducked and Lao shouted, grabbing his spear. Outside, I saw them, the 4 men from the tavern, soaked and angry. Give us the map, their leader shouted. Old Lao stepped out and fought like a warrior, but he was too old. One of the men fired. The shot hit him in the chest. He fell to the ground, blood spreading across his shirt. Something inside me broke. I grabbed Lao's spear and charged. I fought with everything I had, not for gold, not even for the map, but for the old man who had shown me kindness. The fight was fierce. By the end, 3 lay dead on the sand. The 4th tried to run, but I struck him down before he reached the shore. When it was over, the island was silent again. The waves washed away the blood. I knelt beside old Lao. He was breathing weakly. You fight, not for greed, he whispered. You fight for love. Maybe she will let you pass. Who? I asked, but his eyes were already closing. He smiled once more and was gone. I buried him by the shore under a tall, crooked tree. I covered his grave with stones and bowed 3 times. Then I took the map, folded it carefully, and went back to my ship.